brand new video. This is actually the 6-month update for this little Fluval tank. Just come up to 6 months actually, having just kicked things off back in November last year, so time has flown. Before getting into the details of the video, I'd just like to say I hope everyone is safe and well during these crazy times that we're seeing right now. And a big shout out and a thank you to the subscribers. I'm now up to the dizzy heights of 17 subscribers, which is fantastic. And as I said before, I feel honoured that people want to sort of subscribe and see sort of future content and updates on this little tank. Talking of which, there's not really too many things to update you on. I haven't been able to really get out and purchase any new corals or fish or anything along them lines, of course, and there's no way of currently purchasing anything online, not to my knowledge anyway. So it's really just about an update on how the tank has progressed, and there's been a number of changes. One thing that unfortunately happened quite recently is my cardinal passed away. So I had a little black and white cardinal, really sort of placid fish, but actually I don't know why or what happened, but it perished, and so I'll be looking to add to the tank in terms of fish, certainly anyway, as and when things calm down now. One of the sort of the biggest updates I did was on the tube anemone, which you can now see on the right hand side here. I've had some real issues with this, and for anyone that's contemplating getting one or has got one, you'll know that there's not a great deal out there certainly on YouTube or anywhere else that sort of really tells you that much about them and how to care for them. But he's been a real swine in terms of getting into a position he's happy in. So I've moved him around a bit. If you look back on previous videos, he was in this sort of area here where my goniopora is, and I moved the goniopora over to sort of the left there, and he kind of worked his way back into the sort of the crevice of that rock, and I felt that he was relatively happy there, only to find one evening I just happened to look up from the telly and he's floating around the top of the tank. So reinserted him back into the same position, buried him into the sand, which is what you're told to do, and he kind of stayed put there again for a few more days. And yet once again I looked up from the telly one evening and he'd literally got caught up in my power head up in the top left there, and so I jumped up in panic, switched the whole thing off, of course, fetched him out, and I thought, that's it, he's been shredded. So thankfully, come the next day, he looked like he'd sort of calmed down a bit, and sort of looking again around for advice online, I saw that some people had inserted their tube anemones into like a PVC tube that was full of sand, rather than burying it in the sand in case the sand wasn't sort of deep enough. And so that's what I've done. So you may well just about see there. Let's get a closer look. He's in like a clear tube there that I've filled with sand, and he's been that way now for the last couple of weeks. So I think the troubles I've been having is a combination of the sand not being deep enough and the flow being too aggressive on him, which again is something I've read about that they're not quite keen on. And again, if you look back at the last probably 1 or 2 videos, you'll see the tentacles are getting proper blown around, and I just don't think he was happy there and wanted to move into a sort of a more quieter, less of a flow area. So I think the combination of the two things, touch wood, hopefully will work. I have fed him a couple of times since, and he's certainly feeding nicely. So I think he's on the mend. So having done that, I've moved the goniopora back into its old previous position back there, doing really well. And my pulsing xenia coral, I've moved there. Not a lot of growth really on that, to be honest with you. He was down in that little corner, so I've moved him a bit more out into the open. My GSP doing really well, growing nicely, bushing up quite well there, and the other one up on the sort of the side of the wall there is starting to come out nicely as well. just going back to sort of touching again on the tube anemone and sort of the difficulties I've had, he was starting to sort of encroach onto other corals, so I have had to move my frog spawn to this new position. He was there, and the sort of tentacles were sort of reaching it, and as I say, where he got free from the sand bed, he had stung, or what appeared to me, he had stung the frog spawn coral, and it was looking pretty sorry for itself for a few days until it's, as I say, I've moved it to this new position well out of the way, and it's starting to grow quite nicely again now. One other thing to talk about, well, a couple of things actually. One is my lighting schedule. I was finding, and it's tempting as it is I wanted, particularly as I'm working from home all day, every day now, I wanted to see the lights on, and so it is tempting to have the lights on for a long sort of sequence, but the algae growth by doing that is immense. So if anyone is thinking of getting an AR Prime 16 HD, I mean, they are brilliant lights, and my iPhone here is nowhere near doing it any justice. But what I did is I downloaded some schedules from the Signature collection from the AI Prime website, and I then sort of tweaked one or two of them to sort of narrow, like basically shorten the time frame that the lights are on. So it comes on around 2 now, sort of starts ramping up from about 2, and cuts off sort of really around 10ish at night, and I'll put the sort of the lunar effect on for half an hour or so, I think, and all the corals sort of go in, shut in, and go to sleep basically. So I'm happy to share my lighting schedule. If anyone wants to see that, I'll happily share that. Just leave a comment below, and I'll do that, no problem at all. And the other thing that's become quite important is the alkalinity. So obviously I've got a fair bit going on in this tank that's sucking the alkalinity out of the water. So I did get a booster for that, and it is really important to keep your DKH levels up. Anything between sort of 8 and 11, so mine are at 9, and I test regularly now for my DKH, and add a bit of a booster, alkalinity booster, every sort of couple of days, just to supplement that, because otherwise it can quite easily drop to sort of 6 and below, and then keep raising it and lowering it, raising and lowering it. It's just not good for the coral. So sustaining it and keeping it at a sensible level is the key thing here. So on that, I purchased this KH alkalinity booster by Red Sea. That was what was recommended by my local fish store. This was just before we sort of went into lockdown. I think the cost was £16, so not massively expensive. It's a big old bottle, and for this sort of size tank, you're dosing a very small amount every couple of days, and that keeps the levels up to, as I say, for me, I keep it around 9, or I keep it at 9 actually, DKH, and that seems to be working well for these corals. Aside from that, still feeding on the mysis shrimp every couple of days, or pellets, and the clownfish seem to sort of host that far left corner now. Don't really seem to come out too much, other than when they want feeding, which is when the lights start to sort of drop down into the blues. Later on in the evening, they sort of sense that and come out. Shrimp's doing really well. The cleaner shrimp, he's getting really big now, and shed his skin a couple of times. And that's actually one of the things when I feed the fish, so when I feed the corals, particularly with the pellets, he's all over them, trying to nick the pellets out of their tentacles, which is a bit of a pain, but fun to watch at the same time as well. So that's probably it for my 6-month update. I'm hoping, and let's pray to God, that perhaps by the 7-month update we're kind of a bit more out of lockdown, and shops, businesses start reopening, and we can get back to some form of normality. But you know, it's looking a little way off, I still think. Having read the papers and watching the news right now, it doesn't look great, but we live in hope. So once again, I hope everyone is safe and well, and thank you everyone for watching these videos, and please pass comments below if you have anything good, bad or indifferent. If you want my sort of experience or advice on anything to do with this tank, please let me know. As I've always said, I'm only a novice here, and learning as I go, so if I can share any of those experiences for for anyone that's looking to start up one of these little Fluval tanks, then please, as I say, put a comment or ask a question below. I'm more than happy to answer any comments or questions you've got. So that's probably about it. It's just over 10 minutes gone on this video. Thanks once again for watching. Please hit a like on this if you find it of any benefit, and I'll see you on the next video with any further updates. Stay safe, stay well everybody, and thanks again for watching. Bye bye.